to all of you. I am Escoton from University of Mindanao. So I'll talk about the software design and implementation, or the process of software development. The software development process, it is step-by-step process or to create a good system, develop a good system in your company. So start to talk about the software development. So first, requirement analysis leading to the specification of the problem. Second, design of the solution. Third, implementation of the solution or coding, testing, debugging, and integration. And the last is the maintenance and software evolution. The first is a specification of the problem. Precise statement, this description of our problem. It's involved describing the input, expected output, and the between the input and the outputs. So first, you conduct a study in the company for some transactions, problems. So I conduct a study, interview for the manual system for the company. So, for example, based on my experience, I'm a student for my college life. I conduct a study and search for some related review for some company. So I conduct a study, some problems, and the next is design. So we focus to conduct a study, and the second is to design. So, to design a formulation of the method, then a sequence step to solve the problem. So design is a language can be pseudocode, flowchart, natural language. Sir? Sir? So, design. It means design if you create prototypes in your system first. All the process in your prototypes, you conduct first, you create a flowchart or UML, ARD for your process of your system or the process of your transaction. So a good design approach is a top-down design where the problem is decomposed into smaller, simpler pieces for each piece designed into the module. For every programmer, have a one module or the one transaction. For example, in a POS system or a point of sale system, every programmer or one of the programmer, you have one module. First to create an inventory system. Second, create a point of sale system. The inflow outflow of the cash of the company. So the design express the called algorithm. Algorithm is a step-by-step process to solve a problem. The next is the implementation. Developing of actual C++ code that will carry out the design to solve the problem. The design and implementation of the data structures, abstract data types, and classes are often a major part of the design of the implementation. It means implementation or a coding. If you finish to conduct a study, if you finish a design for your prototypes, is now to implement. Every coding of your system have a module. This is a part of the programmer to code every module of the system. And the next is testing and debugging. Testing a program or the syntactical correctness or no compiler's error. So if you finish the code and the process of the company is to deploy and test your system if good or not, if no compiler's error. If your system is good and ready to deploy to the company, first the user will check all the process, all the transaction of the company, and if the user check the process or the transaction and find an errors, so the user will check the programmer. So the programmer will debug for some some errors for the system. So, testing a program for semantic correctness. That is checking if the program gives the correct outputs. So, testing and debugging for a system, this is the most important, or this is a part that system will check, or the user will check, or the system analysis will check the system. So, next is the maintenance and evolution of the system, ongoing in the job, modification, and updates of all the program. If the system will conduct a step-by-step process, or for the guidelines, or the way to process this transaction. So first, to conduct a research. Second, conduct a study. Third, all the transaction of your system. So the second is to design. Third, implementation. Fourth is the testing and debugging. And the last is the maintenance and evolution of the system. So ongoing in the job, modification, updates of all the program. If the programmers, system analysts finish this kind of system, so this system to deploy, the two parts is precondition and the postcondition. So we talk about the precondition. The precondition is the partial process of the system, and the postcondition is the actual deploy of the system. So, and the second is the software validation for the testing for every module of a system. The first process is the unit testing, the second process is the module testing, and the third process is the subsystem testing, and the fourth is the system testing, and the last is the acceptance of the system. So every system have a own process, and every programmer have a individual coding. So this is a step-by-step process, or the your guidelines to create and good and very flexible system, or no compilers error. For this day, thank you and good morning.